Good morning all of you. Welcome to our live program of CIT NCERT. I am Sabila Rashid and today our topic of discussion is project work for language learning. We have R. Meghanathan with us, who is professor of English in Department of Education and Languages NCERT. We welcome to our show, sir.
Thank you, Sabila. Good morning everybody, and welcome to this discussion on project work for language learning. Sabila, you may be surprised to know that what is the project work in language learning, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah. So in language learning, we propose project work, we advocate project work as we do in science and mathematics and social sciences, in a way to make use of the language in real life purposes. What is after language learning? Language learning comes when we understand vocabulary, when you understand the form from meaning, then you move forward to use the language for real life purposes. So project work helps in language learning as you do the things, collection of data, review the materials, this kind of thing. So now look at the slide. You will know that why we need project work. Project work, as you do project work, language learning takes place when you use language, and language learning takes place when you use language for real life purposes. Then all learning, including language learning, is meaning making. What I do when I speak to somebody, I convey meaning and I receive meaning. When I write something or when I find the meaning of the word, I actually make meaning out of it. So for real life purposes, how we can enable design project work for making use of the language. So meaning making involves using language, ideas, words, phrases and constructions which I already know, and I construct new things to write about. So I use the prior knowledge to understand the idea, then move forward to learn new language. That's what. Then now there are various ways and means we can actually do a project work in English language classroom. I concentrate more on English language classroom rather than it can also apply to any language for that matter, okay. First language, second language, any language. Let us look at the first step forward. You can see how to design a project. When I design a project, I work with my teachers and I work with my peers in the classroom. Then I identify a topic in which language use happens, language use for real life purposes. As you can see in the slide, the first step is selecting and briefing within the classroom with the teacher, with the learners. Teachers and learners brainstorm together to decide on some topic for each group. The learners bring their interest. I would like to do on this. I am interested. I am a more visual learner. I can collect photographs and talk about them. Or I use the language from people, interviewing people. So that children will decide, learners will decide in the classroom with the help of the teacher how language learning, they can learn language by doing a project. That's so the first step is to, you can see the slide again, selecting the topic, then deciding on what we'll do. And in project work we always advocate and suggest that let children do project work in groups so that language interaction takes place. Fine. Then the second step would be, having chosen a particular topic, I will decide on how to go about. So if you see the second slide, as you can see, I have chosen the topic. Each group in the classroom has chosen a topic, and they plan and do the carry out the project work. How they do? The step 2 is planning and designing the project. So what will I do? Okay, this discuss with my group, discuss with my teacher, then list the work tasks available, or what are the tasks to be done. When I may be interviewing a person, we will see quite a lot of topics which are coming further. I may be interviewing a person, and I may collect data from newspapers and work with my group, then go ahead. So in the second stage, having chosen the topic, let the group decide on, okay, there are four in our groups. So what we do is, okay, you interview 5 people, let me interview 5 people, we will get together, and someone else, the third person in the group, will interpret the data, and all together sit and create the project work report. And in interview like situations, we also have to create questionnaires, that also they can do jointly. So this is how language learning takes place. Language, they are using language. For example, a lot of newspapers carry articles, advertisement. One group can take a number of advertisements and look at it, what they are doing it. For example, matrimonial advertisements, how it is designed, how it is published, what they are asking for, a kind of interpretation. Then some group can go to the people and ask for some folk songs and try to translate into English and write about them. And there may be a festival in and around the school, in the village. Children go and observe them and write a report of them. So in all this, children, learners decide on the topic, then allocate the work among themselves. I mean the work, not only physical work, the language work. Then the teacher is there to facilitate them. So then if you see the slide, the third step would be, you can see collection of data, information and other details when you actually do the project. The way you gather the data, information, it may be from newspaper, encyclopedia, or read the books, interview people, collect pictures, many more things. For example, there are events which are happening in the village, or in the town. For over a period of 2-3 months, you collect the events, write about them with visuals. Or okay, there are some creative people, okay, let us all write some poetry or some description about whatever is happening in and around the school. Then all of them put together and you write a brief about it, interpret it. So in all this, what children do is they use language. So we will see many more topics coming. Then we have chosen the topic, we have allocated the things among ourselves work. Then we move on to collect data. That is the third stage. Having collected data, I have the children have a lot of materials with them. Now this is actually the real language work begins now. How it begins? Of course, they have done some use of language. Now they move forward to writing the report. So we have collected interview based data or any visuals, many more things, illustrations recorded, or watch TV. So there was a project done in one school. Children were asked to watch a kind of some serials for about 2 months, 2 weeks, then write a brief of all those episode wise summary, then an overall review of the program. So what happens, they have to watch in their language, or whatever the language they knew, they generally like to watch. Then they go ahead to write, understand and write the brief summaries, then develop them into meaningful summaries, then review them. So quite a lot of listening, reading, writing happens. So this is what project work is in language. So now we started writing the reports. In the report we share with, we can allocate to, there are 4 members in the group, give each one some task, some portion of the work. Then now look at it, the next slide. As you can see, the fourth step in a project work is we plan and write the draft and edit it. Having collected the data and information, the ideas, it's time now to plan, to organize and write and interpret them in the draft form. So this is how language, children are working with language. Let me illustrate one example, what children have done. There was, the children were actually asking, doing a project on collecting opinion based on one particular aspect. For example, in those days, whether India should go nuclear or not, and the opinions were collected from 10-20 people. So they went with the questionnaire in their mother tongue and in English. They collected the data, then they put together who said what, then they started writing it. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Then now that is the first step. Then having collected the data and started writing it, and there is a process involved in writing. So we make the first draft, then edit it, then finalize it. Having done that, then we move forward to present it in a project report form. So in the project report form, what happens is, as you can see in the slide, the fifth step is, I have written the project work report and the goal has been reached, the purpose of conducting project work has been achieved, then we would like to present to the whole class the report form. This may be displayed, this may be presented before the class in PowerPoint or whatever, wherever whatever the facilities they have, even a small executive summary of it, the summary of it, then it can be discussed. So now from step 1 to step 5, you look at it, everywhere children use language. How they use language, maybe not fully in English or in mother tongue, but language is being used. So this is how we envisage a project work in language learning, meaning using language for real life purposes. So now you look at the slide again, you will see having done a project work. So there must be some effect on that. For example, whether I can carry this forward in the larger interest. So for example, let me illustrate one example. One teacher in a school has done in class 9. What she has done is the some group, 2-3 groups in the particular classroom ran a school newspaper for a month. Then it was found useful. What they did was they collected the events of the school in and around the village, the area, and reported in the form of newspaper, with some more writing by teachers as well as children. As a result of which this newspaper became popular. Then the teacher, what she has done is she replicated it. Okay, let us have a newspaper for school, overall school, for about kind of a periodicity of 3 months, but they called it newspaper. So it became a continuous activity. Yeah.
Right. Meghanathan, you have already said that how a project should be designed, and with 6 steps you have already explained it to our viewers. Like there is selecting and briefing, and then planning and language generation, collection of data or information in details, planning, writing the draft and editing, and then the result and the presentation, and then the follow up. But when we talk about the project work in language learning, so how is it different from other subjects?
Okay, fine. Yeah. A very important question, pertinent question for that matter. For example, when they do project work in, let us say, social sciences, history or economics, whatever, and in science, what they do is they work with ideas there. For example, this is the experiment we have done, I am reporting in physics, or in biology, chemistry, I observed the phenomena and read. There are also languages involved. That's what we call it, language across curriculum. So there also, but here we want children to concentrate more on use of language for real life purposes. So in one way, all subject project work is language project work. So we can also imagine design project work cross subject.
That is what we call language across curriculum.
Right. So there may be, for example, one of the project work topics which we will discuss later is creating a brochure, a pamphlet for the village. Right. Like making it a kind of a tourist spot, any village for that matter. So it involves history. It involves to some extent sociology and economics. So we can have sociology, history and English, a cross sectional kind of across the subjects, a project work that helps children to understand the ideas of history. This temple or this particular mosque or a church, any historical monument in this fort has so much of history, and what language, the description of it, language comes. So we can also plan that way, but when we plan a project work for language learning, our concentration should be more on language aspect.
Right. So can you give some of the examples that we can give to the students for development of language?
Can you show the next slide? You can see a short-term project let me describe two project work topics. One is a short term project work and another is a long term. Look at the thing, as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, designing a brochure for tourists about your town or village.
Right.
So we generally design brochures or pamphlets for known places. But let us also, if you were to plan, design a brochure or pamphlet for your village, what and all things you will do. That's one short project. We worked with children. We have done it. So look at the slide again. Let me show you. This is how a short term project we designed. It is for secondary stage. 2 to 3 weeks it can be completed, and the general aim is to produce a brochure for tourists and visitors to my village at my town. Then the language aims. You can see the next slide. You will know one is the overarching aim of, okay, what I will do, I will create a brochure. But look at the language aim. The language aims are to develop language skills. What I do when I develop a brochure, I go to the places, ask people, interview people, collect data and put it and design the brochure. So it involves speaking, listening, reading and writing. So on the one hand you have history, on the other hand you have how the social life works. In order to include, we say that these people are conducive here, this is a very beautiful place, and this is this monument. So that is the ideas for other subjects. But when I interview people, how old is the building? It's let us say 200 years old or 400 years old. So then you actually talk to them in English or in their mother tongue, then write it into a brochure. So that's a language aim. If you go ahead with the third slide, that was the short term project. Then now let us look at the long term project. Long term project we did it with children was class newspaper. This is for secondary or senior secondary. It can also be for class 6, 7, 8, that is upper primary, and definitely not for lower classes because they cannot write too much or read too much to do a newspaper. So this is flexible 3 months project. Then the overarching aim is to produce a newspaper, school newspaper, for based on the events, things happening in the town or the village, and as well as in the school. But language aim is to develop the skills of children to make use of the language for real life purposes. They will see that this temple festival happened, this mosque festival has happened, this ceremony has happened. So they have to collect it, they have to ask people, and they also have to come and write it in the form of a kind of news report and present it. And there is someone has visited the village, something has happened in the village. For example, say that some untoward events or flood or anything, they have to collect and write. So this will take long time. So this is a long term project. So this is how language use comes, and we can really design projects cross subject, trans subject, we will say, promoting both the learning of the subject as well as content subject as well as language.
Right. So would you like to give to our viewers who are watching this show that what are some of the tips that they can use while they make a project work for language?
Okay. Generally, contemporary themes which are immediately children can connect with, which are useful for children, otherwise socially, you need to select such project work. For example, use of mobile phones is one major thing today, use of social media. We can have a project on that so that everybody has a point of view to present to you, and it also creates a kind of tension. Someone will say yes, someone else will say no, it's not useful. So then children have opportunity to create language. But at the end of the day, we want children to use language, generate language, speak language, read and write. So if project work helps for that, so let us go for such topics which are contemporary. Even controversial topics I would not hesitate to recommend, because children see, I can talk on the things I know, things where I can contribute, means I can dispute with. So those kind of things. So let's give live topics, current topics, so that they can talk about it and relate with, connect with their real life situations. So language is always social. whatever the time, whichever the language. When language is always social, then we need to have things which are related to society, this one. And also let me also put forward to say that language is social, it happens in society, not in the classroom alone. That's what. So let's look at some of the topics which can be useful for children. You can see the slide. You can see the slide as it comes. Some project work topics for children and teachers to carry out. Look at that, biographical profile of a person, personality in your area. We all talk about achievers, great icons. So let children find some person in the village, an elder, someone who has achieved in the village. He may be a common man, not necessarily a great achiever. Let children go and write a biographical sketch of the person. What things needed to be done? Students in groups go and find a person, talk to the person, this family, his achievements in his own way, interview him, collect the material and write it. So it will take at least a kind of some time to, at least 2-3 weeks to that. If you look at the slide again, the next topic is writing autobiographies of their own. For example, we all read others' biographies and autobiographies. Let children talk to their parents and grandparents and people in the neighborhood and write their own autobiography. Then share with them. Let us say that if a group project is done, let us say 5 to 6 people, each one writes about the childhood. Then present it to each other and compare it. Oh, I had this, you didn't have this. So where language use comes into. And then you can see further, see the slide again. You will see the third topic, quotable quotes. There are lots of quotes, people quote, and lots of quotes available. Let children go to the books and magazines, newspapers, find the quotes and categorize it theme wise, education, society, inspirational quotes, as you said. Then categorize it and write about them. This actually may have some limited language exposure, but they have to read, write and interpret. Then look at the fourth project topic is writing review of movies. Every newspaper publishes a review of movies, right. And also children watch movies on television, in theatre. Let children develop the habit of reviewing the movies for language learning, and it involves interpretation, description of the story. Then if you move forward the next slide, you will find much more interesting topics. This is a very conventional kind of project work. Children are asked to read newspapers, books and write review of them. And in order to understand how to write a review, they have to actually read from newspapers and magazines how a book review is written. It gives you a description, then whether you like it or not, then a kind of conclusion. And look at the slide again. Next project is still more interesting. Varied ways of reporting an event in newspapers. Same event is reported differently in newspapers. This will be useful in senior secondary children. Why the same news item is differently reported. So children come to learn, understand. Oh, same thing can be reported differently. So who is given importance? So let children analyze, let us say 5 newspapers, or if possible more than that, same item for 1 week. A lot of materials to read and interpret and write. So go forward with the next this one. This is another interesting thing. Collecting views and opinions of people on a particular issue or a problem. For example, there are lots of things happening now related to women, education, related to English language. So we can take one particular, mostly some debatable issue. Let us say use of mobiles for young children. It's an issue. So people will say no, don't allow. Parents might say, many will say no, it has lots of uses. So have a set of questions, 10 questions or 5 questions. Go to some 20 people, ask, and what people feel about it. So this involves designing the questions. This involves collecting the opinion of the people, and this involves talking to the people, then summarize it and write it. Okay, out of 40 people contacted, 7 has said this, 10 has said this. So this involves, so those kind of things. Let us see three more topics, then we'll come to writing an article to newspapers. And this is slightly higher. So we read newspapers. Newspapers can be the best, one of the best instruments, tools for language learning, materials for language learning.
Right.
Let children read, then write an article about it. It's really difficult at this stage, but very lower children, but they can try. At least they can try writing letters to the editor, those kind of things. So you have to read, understand things. There are many more topics we can talk about. There are almost some 25 or 30 topics coming further. You can see that develop and conduct quiz programs, kind of things. Now, as a kind of what's a recapitulation, what teachers can do in the classroom with children, and what children can do. Let me quickly put forward some of the ideas so that it will be. Number one, follow the processes we suggested. It's kind of suggestion when you design and carry out the project. Number one. Number two, let children bring their ideas so that they will be involved. They know that, oh, this is what I am expected to do, I am interested in doing. So those kind of topics. Number three, see the focus. Language learning, language use happens, meaning I will design something, an interview tool or a brochure. I will go to the library and read newspapers. I read a book and listen to people and have an interview with somebody. So these are all language use in real life situations, as a result of which children are exposed to language. This is what we call children receive language and use language. So if you design projects in such a way, then teacher plays every point of time teacher is there. Every point of time teacher is there. So in order to support children, children in designing the project, carrying out the project, and the teachers might feel that, okay, our work is kind of increasing, but at the end of the day, if language learning takes place, and teacher should be the person happy about things. So let children use language, and important thing is children should be asked to write, improve, edit, rewrite in order to make it presentable. Then this can be a kind of kept in library, and in future children can refer to in order to write other project works for in the coming years. Any other thing related to this? You talk to the chemistry teacher, physics teacher or social science teacher in order to make your project transdisciplinary. So we said history, economics, it can be done. How much if you just move forward, there is a survey topic you can see. This one, can you show the slide? You will see some project work, conducting surveys and reporting them. Eating habit survey, you can have a survey on eating, those kind of things.
Pocket money survey, sleeping and play routine survey, study habit survey, and person of the year survey, and use of tobacco. These are some of the other topics that the student can work on. Thank you so much, Meghanathan, for being with us on our show and letting our viewers know that how a project work in language can be done, and how is it different from other subjects, and what steps or the guide they can follow while making the project work. Like there are short-term project, long-term project, and you have extremely well elaborated all these points. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is all for today. Tomorrow we'll come up with another topic with another expert. If you have any suggestion or query, you can call us on our toll-free number. We are showing it on our screen. It's 1800-111-265. Another number is 1800-112199. You can also email us at dthtv.ncert@ciet.nic.in. See you tomorrow. Thank you so much for being with us.